Good evening. Welcome to the February 6th meeting of, February 6th, 2023 meeting of Bedford City Council. If you would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Here.
Fluharty,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Asbury,
Here.
Saunders,
Here.
Cochee.
Here. May I have a motion to excuse Councilwoman Spinks? A motion by Janutus, second by Fluharty. Call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Cochee.
Yes. On the approval of minutes, a couple changes. Letter B, we had voted on that last meeting that was passed. Letters D and E are not complete at this moment, so they'll be on next session. So we have approval of minutes of the special council meeting of December 12th, 2022. Any corrections to that? Seeing none, motion for acceptance by Asbury, second by Smith. Call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Cochee.
Yes. And you have the minutes of the regular council meeting of December 19th, 2022. Any corrections to that? Seeing none, can I have a motion for acceptance? By Fluharty, second by somebody? Janutus? Call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Abstain.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
I did not receive those, so I will abstain also.
Saunders,
Yes.
Cochee.
Yes. Under old business, ordinance number 10,048-22, an ordinance declaring the property and structure located at 97 Northfield Road, permanent parcel number 814-15-014, a nuisance, and therefore condemning the property, ordering action, and declaring an emergency. We've had two readings. This will be the third. Can I have a motion for suspension? By Saunders, second by Asbury. Call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Cochee.
Yes. Motion for third and final by Fluharty, second by Janutus. Mike?
Thank you. Yes, this property has been in deteriorating condition for some time. We've sent multiple final notices. It was sold in 2020, however, there currently is $23,000 in back taxes on the property. We have not received any response to address the exterior violations, thus why we're here recommending that the property be condemned and allow us some additional tools to get in touch with any owners to try to remediate.
Questions? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Cochee.
Yes. Reports. Mr. Malice.
Thank you, Mayor. Only have a few this evening. First, I just wanted to mention there are a number of open positions posted throughout the city. They're on our website. We have our building commissioners posted, positions in public works, parks and recreation, as well as our police lateral transfer. And it is not too early to inquire about seasonal employment too, both with parks and recreation, potentially up at City Hall as well as in Public Works. So anyone interested, please visit our website. They're listed under employment opportunities. There were some questions regarding solicitations. Right now, there are 0 solicitor permits that have been issued. I know that there has been a couple of utility companies that have been going around. They've been aggressive in the past. We've dealt with them in the past. They do not have a solicitor's permit. If anybody does get an individual soliciting, asking to see your utility bill, number one, if they are permitted through us, they'll have a little ID badge from the police department. If not, if someone is soliciting, please give us a call, contact the police department, and we'll be out to address that.
Can I jump in, Mike? Several weeks ago, I don't believe I was home at the time, but somebody from Spectrum came around. My wife answered the door. She thought it was a package being delivered. The gentleman was very rude. My wife took care of the situation. But what happened was last week we got notice that somebody set up an account from Spectrum in her name. We actually had a box delivered with their modem, their equipment, and everything to hook up for a Spectrum account. So my thinking is this guy didn't take kindly to my wife, telling him to get lost, and he somehow started an account in her name. So if these people do come to your doors, the best thing to do is not answer the door. Call our non-emergency number 440-232-1234, because these people can be very pushy and we don't need it. Thank you.
Next. Again, we did have a meeting end of last week regarding a number of upcoming infrastructure projects. Good news is, long overdue. Bad news is, there's obviously going to be some inconvenience this year. Northfield Road Bridge, we anticipate that project, although ODOT has not given the official start date yet, we anticipate it starting sometime in March, weather permitting. There'll be a number of repairs needed on that bridge, and they'll be accessing portions of, or at least they've requested, we'll be discussing the logistics of it, accessing the cemetery to do a lot of the underneath repairs on the one side. And then the other discussion was with ODOT regarding Broadway. Broadway will take place this year, the entire length of Bedford. Logistics as far as starting point, timeline, all of that is yet to be determined, but once we get that, we will share that with everyone. Couple things, there is some information here that was posted to our social media as well as city's website. If you're having issues with property tax, Cuyahoga County is working with CHN Housing Partners. There's a lot of dollars that if you meet certain criterias that they can assist in delinquent property taxes. So I'll leave this up here if anybody wants to take a look at it, but it's also posted online. As well as everyone should have received the the winter and spring program booklet from the Parks and Recreation Department. They continue to expand the programs. They're doing great work down there. There's a lot of opportunities there from little kids all the way up to seniors. So take advantage. End of report.
Thank you. Along with, you mentioned the taxes at our last First Suburbs Consortium meeting. First Suburbs Consortium is a group of 20 of the cities that surround the core city of Cleveland. And we had Michael Chambers, who's the fiscal officer for the tax department there, come out and speak to us. And they said they would be happy to come out to our city and give a talk on taxes and all that, which I'm gonna get set up so we can have them out here. So just be aware when we get that date set up that, so you can talk about taxes and why they do it and what they do with them. It was pretty informative, so I wanted to pass that along while you're on the subject. Mr. Montello.
Well, thank you. I have no report tonight. Thank you all for coming. If I can help you, don't hesitate to ask.
Ms. Howland.
I have a report this evening, thank you.
You? Janutus.
I just have one question for Mr. Malice. There are some instances where people can come to the door, is that correct? For religious distribution or political, those two subjects, or any other things that you can?
Correct. Thanks for clarifying that. That you do not need a permit, but as far as selling, the majority of what we get are utility companies, as well as those organizations that try to get you to switch your utility bill. They may tell you can get savings if you leave this entity and go with that. I can't speak for all of them, but the majority of them, you're not going to see savings. But if you get a solicitor, ask to see their identification and contact PD. But you're right.
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fluharty.
I just had one, and Mike, you answered it with the Northfield Bridge. I knew we were getting that going pretty soon here, so that's gonna tie up some traffic. Are they cutting that down to one lane each going across?
I believe so, yes. Traffic will be maintained. We have not communicated, while we're on Northfield Road, we have not communicated yet with ODOT regarding the condition of Northfield Road, but we did send correspondence, again, this is about the 5th year in a row, to Cuyahoga County Engineer's Office regarding Solon Road. Solon Road is a county road, and they need to get that road repaved.
In the report.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
I had one thing that you touched on, Mayor. I was going to talk about the correspondence I received this week about property taxes. Particularly, they want to set up something with the elderly members of our community to help them pay their taxes or give them some type of avenue or different choices as to how they can set up accounts for their delinquent taxes in the report.
Thank you. I believe that you can contact the city now, and they set aside several $1 million to help people with taxes.
But there was,
You gotta contact the county, find out how to.
yeah, they had a representative that, if we had any meetings or anything, they would come out, send someone out and actually talk to the seniors or whoever was having a problem paying their taxes.
Thank you. Mr. Asbury.
Good to see everybody out there. Thanks for coming. No report.
Mr. Saunders.
Yeah, it's really nice to see such a crowd. Unfortunately, it's usually over controversial topics. We need this type of crowd at every meeting. However, quick comment, Northfield Road Bridge, if they think they're gonna get that without closing it at times, they're mistaken. I worked on that bridge back in the 80s when it was put in new. Anyhow, their construction, I think, is optimistic. We shall see how it goes, especially with Broadway going in underneath it. So the town's two main streets coming through are going to be tied up this summer. Fortunately, Union Street won't get done till next year, so hopefully this mess will be out of the way before they do that one. My main comment is something that I've gotten comments from a number of neighbors for the last couple days, and that's of course UH Bedford Medical Center. They placed big, enormous concrete barriers across their drive aprons on both the Garden Street and the Blaine Street side. Those, one, are hazards to pedestrians. Two, they're actually in the public right-of-way, because the public right-of-way goes a foot behind the sidewalk. They shouldn't be there. They look like an abandoned industrial district by putting those there. The neighborhood does not like them at all. They think it's making the area look like a slum and depressed. So hopefully we can do something about that. They figure the next thing they're gonna do is probably fence in the parking lot, which they can't do because our ordinances don't allow that. But the barriers aren't working anyway because the curbs on those streets are so low that people are just driving over the curb, over the grass tree lawn and into the parking lots anyway. Now we got mud ruts through some of the tree lawn areas. So if you could look into that and see if we can do something about making them a little bit more user-friendly for the residential neighborhood there. it would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, along with the bridge, is there talk of repaving that section of Northfield goes up to Solon?
Well, in these plans, there's not, but we're asking the road to get addressed, especially the curb lane on both sides.
Yeah, just point out that Northfield Road is owned by the state of Ohio, not the city, so it would never be in this shape if that was our route. And anybody driven over that, you could close your eyes, you know exactly where you're at. So I hope they get that done. We have no new business, it's a rarity. And so we've come to that portion of the meeting where we have hearing of citizens. If you wish to speak, please come forward, state your name and your address and your comment.
Hello, my name is Rhiannon Sanchez, and I live at 783 Lincoln Boulevard. I am here, we are here to ask our city council to reevaluate the current restrictions that we have regarding backyard chickens. I know I have talked to a few of you in the past, and I believe I have addressed many, if not all, of your issues in the PowerPoint presentation that is in front of you. Most of our neighboring communities have already amended their ordinances to allow for backyard chickens. We are simply asking for the same opportunity to reap the benefits that our neighbors are already sowing. Egg laying is only one of the benefits that we can get from backyard chickens. They eat our table scraps, which will greatly reduce the amount of waste going to the landfills. And in the summertime, they eat ticks and mosquitoes. So it's really a win-win. A lot of people complain about their smell, but chicken poo actually makes great fertilizer. And many of us are in the Bedford Garden Club, and we are very much looking forward to that. Together, I believe that we can work through past prejudices that some of us might have towards backyard chickens, and that we can come up with rules, regulations, and restrictions that we can all agree on, including restricting roosters, because none of us want to hear that at 6 a.m. in the morning, and lot size limitations, and revocable permits. I think that's a really good point to have, revocable permits. If somebody has too many complaints, they get their permits revoked. It's the same with owning a dog that gets loose. You know, animals at large in the city are a big issue. But a chicken is not going to bark all day while your neighbor is at work. And it's also not going to get out and bite somebody. Okay, my child has been bitten twice by neighborhood dogs who have run away from their yard, and a chicken would not do that. I thank you for your time, and we look forward to working with you all for a better Bedford. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none?
Don't be chicken.
How's everybody doing? Dan Hickman, 705 High Street. See, to go along with this, the chicken idea, is I think Bedford is more of a hometown, and we want to keep that hometown feeling. You know, we have Maple Heights, very city-like now, right at our border, and we have all these beautiful cities next to us that are country-like and homestead-like. I think Bedford, we should follow suit with that instead of following suit with Maple Heights and Garfield and everybody that just is so commercialized with McDonald's, Burger Kings, and so I think we need to keep our city. I've been here over 20 years now. I moved into Bedford, I grew up in Cleveland, like, in the city. I came out to Bedford, I'm like, I love this place, it's like, I felt like I was living in the country. Now it's kind of losing that for me, that whole, you know, country vibe, small town. I think that's what we need to say. We need to keep that image, I think we need to promote that image. I think we have community, look, everybody's here. Not everybody, but, you know, we're all involved, and I think that's what we need to say. I think we need to keep that small town mentality. We don't need to be big. Thank you.
Tony Boersma, 45 Tarbell Avenue. I've gotten up here before and mentioned the chickens. So here I am again. To tag on what he just said, backyard chickens are way better than chicken restaurants. And we have the chicken district right up the street here. So we'd love to have them here. And I'd like to see, show of hands, who's here to support the chickens? I think that's a pretty good group. And that's one guy. I think we need 3 more of you. So, but anyway, I just kind of wanted to see that, so you guys can see that there is support. And honestly, you're probably going to look at whole families that get chickens. You know, it's not going to be a nuisance. It's not going to be a hassle. It's going to be something that Bedford can put on their website and say, hey, we're welcoming to people who want chickens. Because I know of at least one person who left. They didn't leave just because of the chicken thing, but they went to a place where they can have chickens now. So they're up in Cleveland Heights, University Heights now. So anyway, that's all I had.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we have a motion for adjournment? Oh.
Sandy Slater, 118 Tarbell. Can we address the unfortunate shooting that happened, and that seems to be happening a little bit more? I've lived here over 20 years also, and we do hear gunfire a little bit more often. It's interesting that you said that you lived in Cleveland, because this happened 10 years ago when someone from the area, from Cleveland, I think we've had 2 neighbors from Cleveland move close to me. My husband and I were Saturday evening just in the backyard doing stuff, and we heard gunfire. And so my husband, went to look, and I called the non-emergency number. And he was just celebrating because he moved and got a new house, and that's what they did in Cleveland. So, I can do it in Bedford. And we have a neighbor who also moved probably 7 or 8 years ago from Cleveland, but the first couple of years they were here. My husband out in the backyard when I was working would hear loud music and loud language, and he even said, the neighbor, that, I'm from the hood, and I can do what I want, I can say what I want. And they have children, and they know they try and get away from a certain place, but yet they still bring some behaviors with them. So, of course, all of us are devastated when we hear something like that. There have been shootings last year, too. So, if we can address it and continue to talk about it, I think all of us would appreciate it.
Mike, if you'd like to.
I just want to make one comment. First, one thing just to point out, if you hear it, call regular 911. Don't call the non-emergency. Get someone out there if you would hear it in your yard or anything like that. And we will obviously get there if there's, not that we wouldn't get there for non-emergency, but that can be considered an emergency. So please, when heard, you call us and we will respond. And I hope you understand there's not a whole lot. Obviously, it was a tragedy what happened.
Doesn't have to be anything specific, but just in general.
Sure.
Community
I
type.
think all of us, and I can speak, I have, full faith. I know what our police department's doing right now. And I'm confident that that's gonna come to a resolution, hopefully sooner than later. Without, obviously, we can't get into any further about what happened, other than, yes, it was a tragedy. It was two brothers that were, obviously, one perished and one was injured, not a resident of Bedford, but that doesn't matter. It's a tragedy, and again, I'm pretty confident we're gonna have a resolution to that very quickly.
And I guess to go along with that, I was so pleased to see the Dads on Duty group in the Bedford schools. I remember hearing about the Louisiana group a year or two ago, and so I'm just so happy that our community stepped up. And there was also a picture about donuts and dads at the school, so those are definitely the types of activities and things that we need that can hopefully help, decrease incidents.
And I would agree, especially, we always talk about it, internally here with the administration as well as our police department. Any interaction that we can have with children, with our police officers and our fire department, positive interaction is good, right? You don't want your first interaction with a police officer to be if you did something bad. You want to know that they're there if they need anything. And, we had our officers, our chief was at Donuts with Dads. We go there regularly at Central with lunch with the kids, and that's important. Halloween is not just driving around in a cruiser making sure, it's pass out candy from the cruiser or the fire engine or things like that we can do. So that's important, I think, and I would agree to you to some of your comments.
Good evening, Sabrina, Future 15 Charles Street. Just listening to the comments about the neighborhood and people just being disruptive and different things, I would like to suggest that maybe the council people come up with something like a welcoming package to the new people, residents coming into the area, and give them kind of like a guideline, because I've heard a young man.
We have that already.
Actually, so two things. One, we do have a new resident guide. So anybody could request that. We do send that out when we get we used to have a volunteer a group that, being that we have our own utility, we have our own water department, we can see when an account changes to someone that just moves in. And we used to have a volunteer group that would go out, introduce, and provide that. Now anybody, and we have put that out, that anybody can request it, and we'll get that to residents, and it's a lot of detailed information, even beyond, city information. One of the things that we did a few years ago, and we're making some modifications, because the last publication, it's outdated, we have a couple new council members, so we're changing that. We have a good neighbor guide, and that's gonna, just like this was mailed to everybody in the community, that good neighbor guide is also gonna get mailed to everybody in the community. And it's like the common things that you may see that, you give us a call because your neighbors, I don't know, they're got the music blasting at 1 a.m, where there's a noise, a noise ordinance, or information about when you put your trash cans out, bring the trash cans back in. It's little things like that, like open fire, all of that is included in the Good Neighbor Guide, and that's gonna be out, what we hope is sometime in March, it'll get to everybody's homes.
Okay.
So touching on that, good point, and hopefully we get that out soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Ellen Trailer, 83 Ellenwood. I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what she said. I just wanted to also respond to the comment that it was something that used to be taken care of by volunteers. I just wanted to, respond to that and say if that's all that's missing to make that happen. I think there's plenty of people, including myself, that would be really willing and happy to volunteer to make that better. So I just wanted to, say that, because I think there's plenty of us out here that agree exactly with that. And I know when I moved here 8 years ago, I did receive a welcome packet, and that changed so much just for me. I thought that was really, really amazing, and I still have it. I still look back on certain things and pay attention to that. So I think that's a really, really good thing. And if I could, I also wanted to respond to the chickens too, just because I know that a lot of people comment that Bedford is turning into more of a renting city as opposed to single family or an owning your home city. And I think that having things like that in place are more so geared towards people that do own their homes as opposed to renting. You're not going to put that much time and effort into something that is going to be rented. And I just think having things like that and policies available is really big into making that happen. I know that's something that I've heard multiple times from multiple groups here in Bedford, so I just wanted to mention that as well.
Thank you. And along that line, if anybody does want to step up and volunteer to help pass that stuff off, or anybody sitting at home, contact the city manager's office, and well, we'd be happy to have people volunteer to do that and actually greet the new neighbors. I know my wife and I try to get around to the new neighbors in our neighborhood. It just adds that, as you said, the small town neighborhood thing to greet your neighbors and say hi. Here's who we are, and I think that's a good thing to do. So if anybody wants to help out, that would be great.
Hi, Tina Stradia, 51 Elm Street, Mayor, Mike. Back to the garbage cans, wondering, I know that you guys have been working for a long time on it, and just wondering if there's any progress.
We have them all. We have them all.
Good.
Yep, they were delivered, so they'll be going out hopefully in the next few, all depends, weather permitting and whatnot, but we're gonna have them all out. And then we
Great.
also purchased extras, we had to replace some that were rotted out at the cemetery, so they're all gonna be, they'll all match.
Well, thank you.
We
Appreciate
have-
that.
There's
And
about a total, I think there were 32 total.
big improvement. Good job.
We'll be
People
going
will, I believe, will use them. The truck stop area that's near the high school, that's not an official truck stop, but is anything,
So the property owner, we've reached out to all the property owners in the area, and just to kind of fill everyone in, if you're not familiar with why that has happened, it started with, and it took a while, actually a former council woman, we identified it, there's an app called Trucker Path. I never heard of it, honestly, and we found it, and it's got, you could download it on your phone, and if you're a trucker, where's their fast food, where's this, where's that? Somebody identified that area as free overnight parking. That's how that started. So it took myself and the former councilwoman, we actually had to create I have a Trucker Path account. Created an account. I guess, truth, that's the only way I can comment. So we, I said, this is not 24-hour parking, can't do it. I uploaded like the ordinance, all of that. So they removed it from the app, but it doesn't mean it's gonna stop like that. That information gets transferred over and shared with individuals. So it stopped for a while, started back up. What we ended up doing is we spoke to the property owners. We are not able to tow vehicles on private property, meaning police in the city. So what we did is it got to the point where we had to unfortunately talk to the property owners and the business owners that we're ultimately going to have to start citing you and issuing them with citations. One of them did run into some issues where they were posting some of the trucks, but one of the, not in Bedford, but one of the local tow companies that can actually tow a tractor trailer, you gotta take the cab, then you gotta come back and take the trailer. It's extremely expensive. So there was he did not want to get involved in that. The owner, where it's the former Target site, has recently sold, and that new owner is taking some action. I know for a fact they've been up there posting them. It seemed like it's diminished. There was still a couple up there, and we did give the okay up as recently as a month ago for them to chain that off. There was a period of time where they can't chain off certain parking areas in the event that if there was, you can't block that from safety personnel if something would have a fire department needs to have access to that. And we have the ability to get through a chain, so he says if you can't stop it, you're gonna need to block it. And if we needed to get in there, we would get in there, or, FD and PD would get in there, so, we're trying to address it. But that's how it started, Trucker Path. If anybody picks up that career, there's an app to find parking and food and everything else, so.
And then the chickens, we've talked, and some of us have had some bad experiences, but I feel that most people that would go to the extent of getting chickens realize the work that's involved and would be responsible just as they would. Not everybody is just gonna let them ruin your stuff. So I ask again that you would reconsider and appreciate all that you're doing and still love it here. So good job, guys.
Thank you.
Sheila Project 705 High Street. I just want to let you guys know, I'm really concerned about the state of the economy. Inflation is going up, price of goods are going up. Saudi Arabia is allowing payments for the oil and other than petrodollars. Our money isn't going to be worth anything shortly. My question is, if we continue on this path, I see a repeat of the Great Depression. And my question to you guys is, because you won't let us have chickens, pisses me off. My question is, again, like I asked the other meeting, how many emails do you guys need? How many phone calls? How much suffering do we have to go through? How many people need to die? How many people? How much suffering? We're asking for chickens to eat! And I just need an answer. How many people need to die? How much suffering do we need to go through before you'll even consider allowing us to have chickens on our own property? Thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
Thank you.
I'll make this real quick. Justin Hayworth, 125 Ellenwood. Nice to see everybody. Smiling faces. Let's put together. Thank you for putting this together. I just want to say, this is Bedford. My kids are doing good. The schools are all right. Yeah, things are messed up, but we're here with each other. We want some chickens. That's why we're here. I've never come otherwise, but I know all of you. I've seen all of you in passings. Security guard, Bedford High, way back in the day. Good man, took care of me a lot of times. We're here together as a community. So, let's just work together, smile together, not worry about what everyone else is doing. Worry about what we're doing here. Work together as a team. I'm active in the outdoor life. We have a gem in our backyard. We have mountain biking, hiking, you name it. We're right there. I'm friends with doctors, lawyers, big time players in the game. We hang out and ride the mountain bike trails. You know where they go to eat? Not here. You know where they live? Not here. But where do they come to ride? We come here, we ride the bike trails, we ride all the way to Hudson, we ride their bike trails, we ride back, and then we drive to another city. I'm trying to get them to come here. Let's show them why. With simple stuff called community. Us together, that's it. That's all we got. And I appreciate everything that you guys do on a daily basis. Jeff, thank you for stepping up and taking control of our district. We appreciate it. Guys, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Maybe we should change the name of the high school football team. I don't know. Okay, I have a question here, and it's actually.
Name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it would have it by now. Robert Dietrich, 137 Stanton Circle. I see all these people, I'm quite impressed. What it causes me to wonder though is how many people actually know which of these people are their council persons on that. Which brings to me thought, what I thought many times, is that one thing that I don't see happening in Bedford are actually council meetings, ward meetings. I've known the council person, this is my councilwoman, for years, and yet I never heard of a meeting for our council, our neighborhood. The thought that I have here is, would it be too much to ask for the council persons to do two things? One, to have their own webpage on our Bedford webpage, just a newsletter is what's happening, with the opportunity of taking questions from people online versus if they could not come here. Secondly, has it ever been brought up, whether individually or as a group, for the council persons to have meetings with their wards alone on that? It would seem that if everyone here had a specific interest, and that is probably going to be in their ward, not necessarily all of Bedford on here. And I would just suggest that that be considered, that the council persons start taking some moves into creating meetings for their wards alone, and not simply these 1 month or 2 months of meetings we have right now.
Thank you. We do have board meetings once a year here.
I'm actually thinking more commonly on a month-to-month basis. I don't know, I know that's asking for time, but it's under my impression that it would bring about a lot more people with an interest if they knew they could talk to their council person about something specific and get answers that way versus what we get in the present approach.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sue Kostranik, 609 West Glendale. I want to talk about UH. I've worked in hospitals for over 10 years, and was it UH bought Bedford Hospital, what was it, in 83?
Back around.
83? I feel that the conglomerates at the time, it was a good idea for them to buy up to buy up our community hospitals, but they've kind of made a mockery of it over the last several years, and maybe it's time to revisit maybe going back to some sort of community-based hospital system, figuring out what worked then, what wouldn't work today. It would probably take a couple years to really look into that, but I see that primary care is really a dying art here, and a lot of doctors are not going into primary care or geriatric care any longer. And we're dealing with a very highly anxiety-ridden society of people that are just calling their doctor's offices like crazy, which is what I'm dealing with now. The same people calling over and over again several times a week because there's a mental health crisis that's going on. And so if we had a more community-based system again, now they said something about that they were thinking of turning UH into a wellness center. Well, I don't know a whole lot about that, but if they can fix primary care and have it be like more of a comprehensive system where they have social workers and LISWs in there, it would greatly take the pressure off of, like cardiology care and like more specialty care if we were taking care of people's mental health. And plus, when Bedford Hospital was community of Bedford Hospital, there were people that were living in Bedford and working at the hospital at the same time. So it was creating jobs for the citizens. So I don't know, maybe it's something that we can look into, is having some sort of community-based health care again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Morales-Wolk from the Broadway Cyclery, and I moved here 2.5 years ago, and one of the things that I noticed from where I came in Massachusetts was there were no signs out on the road saying chickens $2 and some kid sitting out on Sunday morning and selling their eggs. I think that that is something that is a magic lost in this area. When I decided to move here, I moved here because of my family, because I wanted to join my family's business. And I left a very lovely area with lots of farmland, and you could get cheese at the farm down the road. I just think we need more of that. What I've noticed since I've lived here right above the Broadway Cyclery is there is not a lot of fresh food here. There just isn't. And I really lament the idea that I can't, I have to go to Valley View to find an egg for sale, or Solon, or Maple Heights. So, on top of not being able to have a garden in your front yard, which I admittedly don't have a front yard, and I'm not gonna keep chickens, although I have many times in the past, and I will tell you, yeah, there are critters out there. But chickens don't attract the critters are there, because there are cats in the neighborhood as well. There are so many arguments against chickens, but I don't see those as being something that will attract human-minded sort of person to this town. So I implore you all to think twice about the idea of having chickens. It will provide community that I don't think you can find by going to the Dollar General and getting a dozen really old, really lame eggs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm Chris Drensky, I'm 934 Archer, used to be 820 Lincoln. I know my old councilman, Don, but I don't know my new councilman now. We've been there over a year now. But we were looking into getting chickens when we lived on Lincoln. I like what Rhiannon brought up about revocable permits, because it's important that people take care of their animals. And I just think that it's a good idea to be able to, I don't know what a permit would cost, but just to have a permit, even, I don't care if it's $10, just to be able to have it. And if you start getting complaints, you can revoke that permit and you have some kind of leg to stand on to take it away. As far as the hospital, when you were talking, I thought about Metro Hospital. I called for my mom to get some, my mom lives on Elm Street. And I called to get some, she's got a new health care. And Metro Hospital in Brecksville, Metro Hospital on 25th Street, Metro Hospital in Parma. Has Metro Hospital approached us? There's nothing on the south side of Cleveland. I was just wondering, maybe, and they just put all that money into that brand new hospital. It's a good healthcare system, and you might want to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a Metro Health facility at the corner of Warrensville and Rockside,
Yeah.
office buildings.
Yeah.
So they have a presence here, and
I was thinking more of an emergency.
it's the whole reason we are in court with university, and we are still fighting and working with them to get some resolution. We have plenty of ideas. Because we're in litigation, I can't say, and we want emergency care here. We've been fighting this.
Yeah.
And we continue to fight it, we'll keep fighting it. And, our hands get tied because of the courts.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're not doing your job with that.
No, I understand,
Okay.
I just, there's,
That's-
and, there's some things I wanted to say when we were on TV the other day. I had a whole lot more I wanted to say, but had to button it up because it's the way the game is played. And, but we are there looking and,
We're exploring all options.
yes, that's a good way to put it, but we are actively doing that.
And can my councilman tell me who he is? I live in 934 Archer. We just built that new house there. Probably one of the newest houses in Bedford.
My phone number's on
Hey,
grab a
thank you.
card.
Sorry.
Anyone else? Seeing none, can I have a motion for adjournment? By Asbury, second by Saunders. Call the roll, please.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Cochee.
Yes. Thank you all for coming.